What's going on, guys? Today is a fantastic day to be at the range because we got some HKs and some extra cool stuff. Monadnock Firearms is the place to go. Nationwide code Steve MP5 will get you some savings. Check them out. Link to their Instagram will be below. Monadnock Firearms. 2025 is just the year to be in the firearms industry with all the cool innovations coming, with all the new legal precedents that have happened, making super safeties available and companies just pumping these things out for all kinds of platforms. You're gonna see a super safety in probably everything at some point. But we're here today, and you've probably seen some videos on this already within the industry, especially Grantham. He did a pretty cool video on his setup, but this setup is different than that, and in my opinion, better than that. Not knocking his video, not knocking the product, but what I'm saying is I like this version better. So why do I like this version? Well, so a lot of the popular ones you're seeing right now are using the least sporting lower, which is essentially like an AR module. You can put AR grips on, AR triggers, Geisleys and stuff like Grantham did in his video. But why I haven't jumped on that least sporting in the past like year or so that it's been out is because I feel like that style of lower on an MP5 just takes away a lot of the charm of what the MP5 is. I love, the grip angle of the MP5. I like the housing of the MP5. Everything is simple. I love the pictograph lowers. Least Sporting might have that too, but I don't know. I mean, I just love the look, the classic OG look of a picto lower, and there wasn't a whole lot of option out there for that until now. So L2Prints is this version. And something else to add to why I think this is the better version on the market is because it comes in a complete package. So what you're getting with this is, now you can choose. There's different style of lowers, non-pictograph, blank, nothing like so, nondescript lowers, so just all black, no markings. And it is the push button style super safety. Another reason I've been kind of holding off is because while it works, I was like, man, you know what? If I'm gonna do this, I really want a company to come out with like the OG style selector that's on the MP5s to give it that full like MP5, that real MP5 look. And it hasn't happened yet. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. So I slapped myself and said, Steve, stop being some FUD. You need to get with the times, and if this is the way, this is the way. I don't want to miss out. So here we have an original German factory lower with the switches, ambi switches. Ambi is the way on these things. So you can see that it really pays homage and really tries to mimic that vibe of what this is. So I think it's just a really cool option. Same stuff. So that's the plus for me. But also because a lot of these other companies that are doing it, you got to piece it together. You either got to just get the lower, and then you got to go get the super safety somewhere else. Go get all the other, things that go with it somewhere else. But what L2Prints is doing, and again, what I've seen is they're the only people doing it. I've picked up this whole package from L2Prints. So I picked this particular style lower, came already with the super safety installed. You can option up to the rounded hammer, and if you've watched Grantham's video, you'll see that you have to put in this rounded hammer for it to really kind of work properly on the full-size MP5. But there's companies out there, and like the one that he was talking about in his video, people are saying it's just way overpriced for what it is. It's too expensive, blah blah blah. So for only an additional $10, you can option up the rounded hammer to make it more reliable and all of those things. So this whole kit here, as you see it, with the rounded hammer, super safety, the kit and everything, with the picto lower, which is the highest optioned one you can get. I also optioned up this one to do the lighter trigger spring. So I've got like a 4.5, 5 pound pull on this instead of like a heavy MP5 pull, which is like 8, 10, maybe even 12 pounds, really just depends. So this whole thing together as is, as you've seen it, was out the door, shipped, hammer, everything included. I think it was like $430. So it was around 400 bucks for this whole setup, while others are so much more expensive. I don't need a Geisley trigger in this. I don't need the AR lower. I don't care about AR grips. I don't really care about being able to completely reach this thing without breaking my grip because I'm using the paddle mag. Like, I get all the pros of the other versions, but I don't need that. I don't need to spend double or more than double on this setup when this is perfect. Now this is a slip trip. This is part of the magic that makes this whole thing work, and you're supplied 2 of these in your kit. So some people are going to say, well, I'd rather have a metal one, you know, whatever. I feel you. So I have a metal one in the SD that you saw here. So you can get those separately elsewhere. L2Prints doesn't currently manufacture those. So maybe at some point they will, and you can kind of just option it up and do, you know, get the whole thing together. But right now they supply the 3D printed ones, but it's to be determined how long these things last. I've heard a few thousand rounds before you got to replace them because, you know, it's wearing on it. So some people just option up for the metal one. So that might be the route to go, but I can't say as far as reliability on the 3D printed polymer ones. I'm using a metal one right now. I have 2 versions of this. We'll talk about that. And I'm using a polymer one in the K version. After we're done talking SD, we'll flip over to the K. So I wanted to touch on those major points of what this thing is. I'm sure you've seen a lot of it already, but I wanted to show you this version because I really dig this version. Like, I used my own money and bought this. So this is the one I think to get. Also, before we go any further, I just want to say that, so this is, it appears to be a 3D printed lower as well. So this grip module is 3D printed. You can probably tell the difference between that and the German one. It's a much heavier duty molded plastic, whereas this is 3D printed. It has that 3D print kind of sheen to it. You can kind of see in some lights, but again, it feels really sturdy. I don't know the specs of the polymer that they use on this, but I mean it seems very solid, and time will tell how it holds up. But just in general, let's take some shots here and just watch the magic happen. The SD. The SD is the way. I'm shooting 115 grain here today by Unlimited Ammo. That SD just takes them supersonics down to subsonic. I don't even need ears for it, but I got them in because I'm running the K as well, and I need it for the K. But I'm telling you, I've not seen this super safety on a true SD yet. I've seen them on the full side, the normal full size MP5s. I've seen them on the Ks running crazy fast. But the SD is just money. This makes the perfect home defense, and this has always been my home defense because I don't want to blow eardrums out if something happens. I wanted to highlight the pluses of what this L2Prints version gives you, the whole complete package, not having to piece it out and spend like double the money. So far, this is first shots. This is first shots impressions here today, and it is beautiful right now. So let's switch it over. Let's run these. Of course, I didn't charge it back. Let's run these and go over to the K. Here we go. All the way in is safe. All the way over to the one side is semi. In the middle is a good time. All right, so I run into a problem. This here is the bag gun. This is the K model. This is based off of an MKE, so there's versions for all of those things. Pick your version, select what you want. It gives you the right thing you need. So this is a push pin lower, whereas the SP5s are not. They're clipped and pinned. So you get the correct lower with the correct version of the gun that you have. Now here's the problem. I was hoping it wasn't going to be a problem, but apparently it is. So with a lot of the imports, there's a big full auto block that's welded into the rear of the receiver. So, it doesn't allow you to run a full auto carrier in the imports. It's part of the import laws, and it's dumb. So what happens is you can't slip in the trip on my particular one because the block is in the way. It's just a piece that facilitates the forcing of the reset on an MP5. So what I had to do, and this is just a brand new one, what I had to do in this was remove a little bit of material down here on the bottom of this little tail to have it clear that block to be able to fit down into the receiver and then act how it's supposed to act. Now, in just simulation, in dry firing, and function testing, this worked. It was resetting, it was safe, it was semi, and it was in force reset during that process. The only thing I can think is because now when this went in, I gave it, because I didn't want to take too much material off of this, and I didn't have the right tools to remove material from the block itself. Now, removing the block itself is a no-no per imports and ATF and things like that. So you can't do that. But to be able to shave a little material off there for this to slip in, I didn't have the proper tools to do that so that it would accept this, but still hold up to the law of having a block to not accept a full auto bolt. So I was taking material off of this, and I think for me to try to keep the tolerances really tight, I didn't take as much as probably I should have to make it slide really, really freely in there, because it ends up coming up against that block that's in the back. So what I'm thinking is happening under live fire, when I can manipulate this myself, as you've seen here, when I manipulate this myself, it comes back, it locks. You can see here, we're clear. We're in semi. Works. Going into fun mode. It's dropping, but I'm getting hung up. And I'm thinking what's happening is that slip trip. It's the first time it's done here. You can see it's caught. That slip trip is sliding back and getting hung up on that block, which then does not allow it to either come forward or completely cycle back to extract the next round and then, load the next round and fire. So that's the problem right now. So this is not acting as it's supposed to. It's not functioning correctly. And that's not a ding on L2Prints, because you saw the other one is working fine. So I'm thinking that's the problem. So unfortunately, the bag gun right here is sort of inoperable in this configuration. I would have to remove this grip and put the standard semi-auto German grip back on, and it would be fine. Take the slip trip out, it would be fine. But right now, it is not working. I just can't get it. See, here you can see it's moving. The trigger's moving, everything's moving. It's working in semi mode, or force reset mode. Let's try it now. I don't have enough rounds. Let's try it, me load it up and try it again and see if I've kind of worked it out. Okay. Maybe we just needed to work out some bugs. Quick note, that did not run the full mag. Had 2 rounds left, and it looks like it got hung up. What it got hung up on, I'm not sure. It could have been one of those short strokes where it did not fully extract, so it got a jam. It may just be this thing. If it'll keep running like this, as that thing starts sliding back and forth, it starts wearing on that polymer piece. For sure, I would want to get a metal piece for this, but I would have to remove some material from the block so that it would slide freely. Not worried about it, but this one just might take some finessing. Something else that's worth noting, I went ahead and upgraded. I got one of the 80-degree locking pieces from HK Parts, because for this to run optimally, the 80-degree locking piece running 147s suppressed is optimal performance. So this does not come, I don't know what they come with, they're not marked. Mine wasn't marked. Everybody who I've talked to says theirs are not marked, so who knows. Now, because this is my bag gun, the setup is can 147 hollow points, and now with this capability on Super Safe, I know that I'm good once this is running perfectly. So some hiccups, we'll work that out, we'll figure it out, we'll do a follow-up down the line. But let's just see, how it's going. You can definitely tell the rate of fire is slower here than you saw on Garantham's video, being like probably 1,200 rounds a minute. I mean, it'll run, it'll do that, and you can see that it'll work and it'll be fine. But for optimal performance, talking to James Williamson, who is the guy to talk to about HK stuff, 80-degree silencer, 147s is optimal performance. All right, so here we go. It ran like 8 of them again. Might not be able to see in there. Probably can't. It's I got a double feed. So I'm thinking it's short stroked. And I don't know if it's these mags. These are German mags. These are German 15-round mags. Let's throw some in the other mag, maybe run it on semi, just like 5, and see if I get hung up on those last 2 mags. Here may be the problem. All right, so what I'm running here is the unlimited ammo 115 stuff. I've never had an issue with this before. So it's either I had a couple bad rounds in this ammo, or the lighter hammer springs are giving me some light primer strikes. Now I did ask before I optioned that, I said, have you had any issues with light strikes using those lighter springs? And he said none. So who knows? Could be a combination of the springs and the ammo. Could just be the ammo, could just be the springs. Not sure at this point, but I'm gonna try it again, see what happens. Let's check it out. Okay. Okay, and that one ran. That was only 5 in that one. Again, not sure. I have the same light springs in the SD, and I did not have one malfunction. All right, here we go. The rest of whatever's in here looks silly. Here we go. See what happens. It ran it. It's something with the K and it's something with the slip trip. It has to be. It's the only thing that makes sense right now, because that just ran perfectly in the full size. Guys, we're back here at the range, day 2. Yes, same shirt. So went back and adjusted the slip so it moved more freely on the plastic one. Now, this is what I'm gonna try today. I've already shot it with the plastic trip, and it's shot way better, still getting issues. I'm almost now thinking it's extractor, potentially. I don't know why it would be the locking piece, because I'm running 115s, but it should run on 115s, whether it's 115s or 147s. But so what I've done is I got a mag here of 115s, and on the other side I've got a mag of 147s. See if that makes a difference. If it's not that, I'm out of ideas. I don't know, not sure. I'm just not sure what's going on. But so let's try it, see if we can wrap this video up, see if we can't get it fixed. The metal slip is in. Maybe it's, I don't know now if it's like primer strikes, but the SD is not having any problems with that. Same ammo. Double feed. Could be, it's gotta be extractor. Let's try the 147s. It didn't even run the 147. Didn't even cycle that. Before I run Before I run the factory housing, I'm just gonna try to run it on semi with the 115, see if that does anything. Still having problems. All right, factory semi housing is back on. 115. Okay, 147. It's the gun. So for some reason, either extractor or the 80-degree locking piece. I didn't bring the factory locking piece. God, I'm gonna have to do a revisit. I can't keep doing this. I'm gonna have to revisit down the line. So it's not the slip, it's not the L2Prints lower, it's not the springs. I'm having the same problem with the semi. The only thing that's changed now from this setup from when it ran like a top before was the 80-degree locking piece. Because I could run this on 147s with the standard locking piece, no problem. 115's in here real quick, let's try it. That ran. It's gotta be that, gotta be the locking piece, right? 10 rounds, 115. That ran. All right, guys, it's gotta be the locking piece. I don't know, but it just ran 115s with that, with the locking piece, but not the 147s. Not a single issue with the SD. It's gotta be that locking piece. I think I narrowed it down. Of course, I didn't bring the factory locking piece. And the locking piece in the SD is different. Revisit down the line and just tinker with this thing again and see what the heck is going on. Try the normal setup, everything that I got, and change the locking piece back, and we'll follow up down the line. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Don't forget Steve MP5 on the Instagrams. See you next time.